Marcus hadn't slept indoors in 3 months. The cardboard box beneath the overpass wasn't much, but it kept the wind off his back and the rain from soaking through his worn jacket. He was 17 years old, too young to be this tired, too old to hope for rescue. The world had forgotten him the day his foster family decided he was too much trouble. No goodbyes, no explanations, just a locked door and his belongings in a trash bag on the porch. But today, everything would change. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness creates the biggest ripples. And Marcus was about to discover that saving one life would give him back his own. Before we continue, where are you watching from right now? Drop your country or city in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this story, smash that like button and subscribe because what happens next will absolutely blow your mind. Marcus stretched his legs, feeling the familiar ache in his knees from sleeping curled up. The morning sun was just breaking over the industrial district, painting the concrete orange and gold. He grabbed his backpack, checked that his last remaining possession, a photograph of his younger sister from years ago, was still tucked safely in the front pocket, and started walking. His stomach growled. He'd eaten half a gas station sandwich yesterday, found behind a dumpster, still wrapped. Today, he'd have to find something else. The streets were waking up. Delivery trucks rumbled past. A few early morning joggers passed him without making eye contact. Marcus had learned that people looked through him, not at him. When you're homeless, you become invisible. A ghost wandering through a world that doesn't want to acknowledge you exist. He kept his head down and walked toward the commercial strip, hoping maybe he could find some day labor, earn enough for a real meal. Then he heard it, a sound that made his blood run cold. The high-pitched yelp of an animal in distress. Marcus stopped mid-step, turning his head toward the noise. Across the 4-lane road, near the entrance to an old warehouse parking lot, a dog was running. Not playing, not exploring. Running terrified. And behind it, gaining speed, was a massive delivery truck, the driver clearly not seeing the animal darting between parked cars. Marcus didn't think. He just moved. His legs carried him forward, sprinting toward the intersection. The dog, a beautiful German shepherd with a red collar, burst out from between two vehicles and ran straight into the road. The truck's horn blared. Brakes screeched. But the driver couldn't stop in time. The dog froze in the middle of the lane, paralyzed by fear. Marcus ran harder than he'd ever run in his life. His worn sneakers pounded the asphalt. His lungs burned. Time seemed to slow down as he reached the dog, grabbed it by the collar, and threw both himself and the animal toward the opposite curb. They hit the pavement hard. Marcus felt his shoulders scrape against concrete, felt the air knocked from his chest. The truck roared past, missing them by inches. Wind from the vehicle whipped his hair. The smell of hot rubber filled his nose. For a moment, Marcus couldn't breathe. He lay on his side, clutching the dog, feeling its heart hammering against his chest. The shepherd was shaking, whimpering, but alive. Marcus forced air back into his lungs and sat up slowly, checking himself for injuries. His shoulder was bleeding through his shirt. His jeans had a fresh tear at the knee. But he was okay. More importantly, the dog was okay. The shepherd licked his face, whining softly, as if thanking him. Marcus managed a weak smile. Hey, buddy, you're safe now. He checked the collar. There was a name tag, Ranger, and beneath it, a phone number. Marcus pulled out his battered phone, the screen cracked but still functional, powered by whatever free Wi-Fi he could find. He was about to dial when he heard the sound, a sound that would change everything. Motorcycles. Not one or two, but many. The rumble was deep, primal, shaking the ground beneath him. Marcus looked up, still sitting on the curb with Ranger pressed against him, and watched as a convoy of bikes turned the corner. Chrome gleaming. Leather vests. Patches. Hell's Angels. Marcus recognized the insignia immediately. Everyone in this city knew that symbol. You didn't mess with them. You didn't cross them. You stayed out of their way. The bikes slowed as they approached, forming a semicircle around Marcus and the dog. Engines idled, creating a wall of sound. Marcus's heart rate spiked. He wasn't doing anything wrong, but when you're homeless, any attention from authority figures, even unofficial ones, felt dangerous. A man dismounted from the lead bike. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a gray beard and eyes that looked like they'd seen every kind of trouble the world could offer. His leather vest was covered in patches, and across the back, in bold letters, Road Captain. The man walked toward Marcus slowly, deliberately. His boots struck the pavement with weight and purpose. Marcus stayed seated, holding Ranger, not sure if standing up would be seen as aggressive or disrespectful. The biker stopped a few feet away and stared down at him. Silence. Then the man's eyes shifted to the dog, and something in his expression changed. Softened. "That's Ranger," the man said, voice rough but not unkind. Marcus swallowed. "Is he yours?" The man shook his head. "He belongs to my VP. Vice President. Lost him 2 days ago. We've been searching everywhere." Marcus felt relief wash over him. "I saw him running into traffic. I just couldn't let him get hit." The biker studied Marcus for a long moment, taking in the torn clothes, the backpack, the scrapes, the exhaustion written on his face. "You hurt?" Marcus shook his head. "I'm fine." The biker crouched down, lowering himself to Marcus's level. "That took guts, kid. Most people would have just watched." Marcus didn't know what to say to that, so he said nothing. Ranger, sensing his owner's friend, wagged his tail and moved toward the biker. The man scratched behind the dog's ears, inspecting him for injuries. "He's okay. Thanks to you." Another biker approached, this one younger, maybe in his 30s, with a shaved head and a scar running down his left cheek. His vest read Vice President. "Diesel." He saw Ranger, and his entire face transformed. "Ranger." The dog barked and lunged forward, tail wagging furiously. Diesel dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around the animal, relief and joy mixing in his expression. "I thought I lost you, buddy. I thought you were gone." Diesel looked up at Marcus, eyes glistening. "You found him?" Marcus nodded. "He was about to get hit by a truck. I just grabbed him." Diesel stood slowly, still holding Ranger's collar. "You saved his life." Marcus shrugged awkwardly. "Anyone would have done it." The road captain shook his head. "No, they wouldn't have. Most people don't risk themselves for a dog." Diesel stepped closer. "What's your name, kid?" "Marcus." Marcus barely managed not to stammer. Diesel extended his hand. Marcus hesitated, then shook it. Diesel's grip was firm but not crushing. "Thank you, Marcus. Seriously, this dog is his family." The road captain spoke again. "You got somewhere to be?" Marcus looked down at his backpack, his torn jeans, and his bleeding shoulder. The truth was obvious. He didn't have anywhere, but admitting it out loud felt like surrendering something. I'm just passing through." The road captain's eyes narrowed slightly, not with suspicion, but with understanding. "When's the last time you ate?" Marcus didn't answer. He didn't have to. Diesel looked at the road captain, and some silent communication passed between them. Then Diesel nodded. "Come with us." Marcus blinked. "What?" "You saved my dog. The least I can do is buy you breakfast." Marcus started to protest. "I don't need," Diesel cut him off. "I know you don't need it, but I'm offering." And turning down a biker's gratitude? Bad form. A few of the other bikers chuckled. The road captain clapped a hand on Marcus's shoulder, the uninjured one. "Come on, kid. Let's get that shoulder cleaned up and some food in you." Marcus looked at Ranger, who was sitting calmly now, looking up at him with those intelligent brown eyes. And somehow, Marcus knew. This wasn't just about a meal. This was something bigger. Marcus climbed onto the back of Diesel's bike, holding onto the grab bar like his life depended on it. He'd never been on a motorcycle before. The engine roared to life beneath him, vibrating through his entire body. Ranger sat in a custom sidecar attached to Diesel's bike, tongue hanging out, looking perfectly content. The convoy rolled out, engines thundering in unison. People on the sidewalk stopped and stared. Some smiled. Some looked nervous. But everyone noticed. You couldn't ignore 20 Hells Angels moving through town like a force of nature. They rode for about 15 minutes, weaving through traffic, the wind whipping against Marcus's face. Despite everything, despite his fear and uncertainty, he felt something he hadn't felt in months. Freedom. They pulled into the parking lot of a small diner on the edge of town. The kind of place with faded paint and a neon sign that flickered. But the smell coming from inside made Marcus's stomach clench with hunger. The bikers parked in a long row, dismounting with practiced ease. Diesel helped Ranger out of the sidecar and gestured for Marcus to follow. Inside, the diner was exactly what Marcus expected. Vinyl booths, checkered floors, a jukebox in the corner playing old rock songs. The waitress, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes, smiled when she saw the group. "Morning, boys. Usual table?" The road captain nodded. "And bring some extra plates. We got a guest." The bikers filled 3 large booths. Marcus sat between Diesel and the road captain, feeling awkward and out of place. Ranger lay at Diesel's feet, gnawing on a treat someone had pulled from their vest. Diesel didn't waste time. He flagged the waitress. "Get this kid whatever he wants. Full breakfast. Don't hold back." Marcus stared at the menu, overwhelmed. When was the last time someone told him to order whatever he wanted? The waitress waited patiently. "I'll have," Marcus's voice cracked. "Pancakes, eggs, bacon, toast." The waitress smiled warmly. "You got it, sweetheart." The road captain ordered coffee for the table. As they waited, the bikers talked among themselves. Stories, jokes, plans for an upcoming ride. Marcus sat quietly, listening, feeling like he'd stepped into another world. Diesel turned to him. "So, Marcus, how long have you been on the streets?" Marcus tensed. "I'm not." Diesel raised a hand. "Hey, no judgment here. Half the guys at this table have been where you are." Marcus looked around. Some of the bikers nodded. One, an older man with a long gray ponytail, spoke up. "I was homeless for 2 years after I got out of the military. This club saved my life." Another added, "I slept in my car for 8 months. These brothers gave me a reason to keep going." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. These weren't the criminals the news made them out to be. These were men who'd survived, who'd struggled, who understood. The food arrived, plates piled high with more than Marcus had seen in months. He ate slowly at first, trying to maintain some dignity, but hunger won out. He devoured the pancakes, the eggs, the bacon, soaking up every bite. The bikers watched with quiet approval. Diesel refilled his orange juice twice without saying a word. When Marcus finally leaned back, full for the first time in weeks, the road captain spoke. "You got family, Marcus?" Marcus shook his head. "Foster system. Aged out. Got kicked out of my last placement. Been on my own since." Diesel's jaw tightened. "That's rough, kid." Marcus shrugged. "It is what it is." The road captain leaned forward. "You got any skills? Anything you're good at?" Marcus thought about it. "I used to work on cars. My foster dad, before things went bad, taught me some mechanical skills. Oil changes, brake pad replacements, and basic repairs." Diesel and the road captain exchanged a look. The road captain pulled out his phone, typed something, then looked back at Marcus. "We got a garage. Club owned. We need someone to help out, clean up, and learn the trade properly. You interested?" Marcus's heart stuttered. "Are you offering me a job?" Diesel corrected him. "We're offering you a chance. You show up, you work hard, you prove you're serious, and yeah, it's a job." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Why? Why would you do that?" The road captain's expression was unreadable. "Because you risked your neck for a dog you didn't know. That tells me you've got character. And a character's worth investing in." Marcus didn't realize he was crying until Diesel handed him a napkin. "It's okay, kid," Diesel said quietly. "Let it out." Marcus wiped his face, embarrassed, but none of the bikers mocked him. They just gave him space. After a moment, Marcus managed to speak. "When do I start?" The road captain smiled. "How about today?" Marcus nodded, unable to form words. He'd woken up this morning with nothing. And now, somehow, he had a job, a purpose, a group of people who saw him as more than invisible. They finished breakfast, the bikers paying the bill and leaving a generous tip. As they walked back to the bikes, Diesel called out to Marcus. "Hey, you got a place to crash tonight?" Marcus hesitated. "Not really." Diesel nodded. "We'll figure something out. There's a room above the garage. It's not fancy, but it's got a bed and a lock." Marcus felt his eyes sting again. "Thank you." Diesel clapped him on the back. "Thank Ranger. He's the one who brought you into our lives." The ride to the garage was shorter, only a few miles from the diner. The building was a large, industrial space with rolling metal doors and the Hells Angels logo painted on the side. Inside, it smelled like motor oil, metal, and hard work. Motorcycles in various states of repair lined the walls. Tools hung on pegboards. A classic car sat on a lift in the corner. The road captain, whose name Marcus learned was Griffin, gave him a quick tour. This is our operation. We work on our bikes, some cars, and custom jobs. It's how we make legit money. He led Marcus up a narrow staircase to a small room above the main floor. It had a single bed, a dresser, a tiny bathroom, and a window overlooking the street. It wasn't much, but to Marcus, it looked like a palace. Griffin handed him a key. It's yours. Keep it clean, keep it respectful, and it's yours as long as you need it. Marcus took the key, the metal cool and solid in his palm. I don't know what to say. Griffin's expression softened. You already said it when you saved Ranger. Now get cleaned up. We'll start showing you the ropes this afternoon. Marcus spent the next hour in the tiny bathroom, washing away weeks of grime, dirt, and exhaustion. The hot water felt like a miracle. He found a first aid kit under the sink and cleaned the scrape on his shoulder, bandaging it carefully. When he finally looked in the mirror, he barely recognized himself. Still thin, still tired, but no longer defeated. There was something different in his eyes now. Hope. He came back downstairs wearing the same clothes, but cleaner. Diesel was working on a bike, Ranger lying nearby. Diesel looked up and grinned. Looking better already, kid. Come here. I'll show you what I'm doing. Marcus approached, and for the next several hours, Diesel walked him through basic motorcycle maintenance. How to check the oil, adjust the chain, and replace spark plugs. Marcus absorbed everything like a sponge. He asked questions. He listened. He learned. The other bikers drifted in and out throughout the day, each one greeting Marcus with a nod or a word of encouragement. A man named Wrench, who ran the garage, handed Marcus a set of coveralls. You're going to need these. They'll keep your clothes clean. Marcus put them on, feeling a strange sense of pride. He was working. He was useful. He mattered. By the time the sun started setting, Marcus was exhausted, but it was a good exhaustion, the kind that came from honest work. Griffin called everyone together near the end of the day. All right, listen up. Marcus here is part of the crew now. He works hard, and we take care of him. Anyone got a problem with that? Silence. Then one by one, the bikers nodded or voiced their approval. Wrench spoke up. Kid's got good hands. Learns fast. Diesel added. And he's got heart. That's what matters. Griffin looked at Marcus. Welcome to the family, kid. Marcus felt his chest swell. For the first time in years, he felt like he belonged somewhere. That night, Marcus lay in the small bed above the garage, staring at the ceiling. His body ached, but his mind was quiet. No fear of someone stealing his things. No cold wind. No uncertainty about tomorrow. He pulled out the photograph of his sister, the one he'd carried through everything. Maybe, he thought, maybe I can find her again. Maybe I can build something. Maybe I'm not broken after all. He closed his eyes and, for the first time in months, slept deeply. The next morning, Marcus woke to the sound of engines roaring to life below. He dressed quickly and headed downstairs. Diesel was already working, Ranger at his side. Morning, kid. Sleep okay? Marcus nodded. Better than I have in a long time. Diesel smiled. Good. Today, we're going to teach you about engine rebuilds. You ready? Marcus grinned. Absolutely. As he walked toward the workbench, he felt something brush against his leg. Ranger, looking up at him with those intelligent eyes, tail wagging. Marcus knelt down and scratched the dog's ears. Thanks, Ranger. I owe you everything. Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus settled into a routine. Wake up early, help open the garage, work on bikes and cars, and learn everything Wrench and Diesel could teach him. The bikers treated him like one of their own. They joked with him, pushed him to work harder, and made sure he ate 3 meals a day. Marcus started gaining weight, his face filling out, his energy returning. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was living. One afternoon, while Marcus was changing the oil on a Harley, Griffin approached. Marcus, got a minute? Marcus wiped his hands on a rag and stood. Sure. What's up? Griffin gestured toward his office, a small room off the main garage floor. They walked inside, and Griffin closed the door. Have a seat. Marcus sat, suddenly nervous. Griffin leaned against his desk, arms crossed. You've been doing good work. Real good. Everyone's impressed. Marcus relaxed slightly. Thank you. I'm just trying to pull my weight. Griffin nodded. I know. And that's why I wanted to talk to you. We've got a situation coming up. Nothing dangerous, but it requires someone we trust. Marcus leaned forward. What kind of situation? Griffin explained. Every year, the club does a charity ride. We raise money for kids in foster care, group homes, kids who've been through what a lot of us have been through. This year, we want someone to speak. Someone who's lived it. Someone who can tell their story and remind people why this matters. Marcus's stomach tightened. You want me to speak? In front of people? Griffin nodded. I know it's a lot to ask, but your story, Marcus, it matters. You survived. You kept going. And now you're building something. That's powerful. Marcus looked down at his hands, still stained with grease. I don't know if I'm the right person. I'm nobody. Griffin's voice was firm. You're nobody. Not to us. Not to Ranger. Not to the kids who need to hear that there's hope on the other side of all that pain. Marcus thought about it. Thought about the nights he'd spent cold and alone. Thought about the people who'd ignored him. Thought about the moment he'd saved Ranger and how everything changed. If his story could help even one kid feel less alone, wasn't that worth it? He looked up at Griffin. Okay, I'll do it. Griffin smiled, genuine and warm. That's my boy. The ride's in 3 weeks. We'll help you prepare. You won't be alone up there. The next 3 weeks were a whirlwind. Marcus worked at the garage during the day and spent his evenings with Griffin and Diesel, preparing his speech. He wrote and rewrote it, trying to find the right words. How do you explain what it's like to be invisible? How do you tell people about hunger, fear, loneliness, without making them pity you? Griffin guided him. Don't hide from the pain, but also show them the hope. Show them what's possible when someone gives you a chance. Marcus practiced in front of the mirror, in front of Ranger, in front of the other bikers. Each time, his voice grew steadier. His confidence grew. He wasn't just a homeless kid anymore. He was someone with a story worth telling. The day of the charity ride arrived. Marcus woke up early, nerves buzzing under his skin. He dressed in clean jeans, a black t-shirt, and a leather vest that Diesel had given him. Not a club vest, but one that marked him as part of the family. Diesel knocked on his door. You ready? Marcus took a deep breath. As ready as I'll ever be. Diesel grinned. You'll do great. Just speak from the heart. That's all anyone can ask. They headed downstairs, where dozens of bikers were already gathering. Motorcycles lined the street for blocks. Families, supporters, volunteers, all preparing for the ride. The energy was electric. Marcus felt his chest tighten with emotion. All of this, for kids like him. Kids the world had forgotten. Griffin gathered everyone for a quick meeting before the ride. All right, everyone, listen up. Today's about raising money and awareness for foster kids who need support. We ride, we rally, and we remind this city that these kids matter. He gestured to Marcus. And we got someone special speaking at the rally. Marcus here is going to share his story. Let's show him some love. The bikers erupted in applause, whistles, and cheers. Marcus felt his face heat, but he also felt something else. Pride. The ride itself was incredible. Hundreds of motorcycles, engines roaring in unison, rolled through the city. People lined the streets, waving, cheering, holding signs. Marcus rode on the back of Diesel's bike, Ranger in the sidecar, feeling the wind and the sun and the sense of community wrapping around him like armor. They rode to the city park, where a stage had been set up. Vendors sold food and merchandise. Kids played on the grass. Families gathered. It felt less like a charity event and more like a celebration. When it was time for Marcus to speak, Griffin walked him to the stage. The crowd quieted. Hundreds of faces looked up at him. Marcus's hands shook as he gripped the microphone. He looked out at the sea of people and felt panic rising. Then he saw Diesel, standing near the front, giving him a thumbs up. He saw Ranger, sitting calmly, tail wagging. He saw the other bikers, his brothers now, all watching with encouragement. He took a deep breath and began. My name is Marcus. 3 months ago, I was homeless. I slept under an overpass, scrounged for food, and felt invisible to the world. Nobody cared if I lived or died. I was just another kid the system forgot. His voice was shaky at first, but it grew stronger with each word. One morning, I saw a dog about to get hit by a truck. I didn't think. I just ran. I grabbed him and pulled him out of the way. That dog's name is Ranger, and he belongs to one of the Hell's Angels. Saving him changed my life. Because these men, Marcus gestured to the bikers, didn't see a homeless kid. They saw someone worth helping. They gave me a job, a place to stay, and a reason to believe in myself again. The crowd was silent, listening intently. Marcus continued, I'm not special. I'm just one of thousands of kids who fall through the cracks. But I got lucky. I got a second chance. And that's what today is about. Making sure every kid in foster care, every kid who feels forgotten, knows that someone cares, that they matter, that their life has value. His voice cracked with emotion. If my story can help even one kid hold on a little longer, if it can remind one person to look at the invisible people around them and see their humanity, then everything I went through was worth it. Thank you. The park erupted. Applause thundered. People stood. Some were crying. Marcus stepped back from the microphone, overwhelmed. Griffin was there immediately, pulling him into a hug. You did it, kid. You did amazing. Diesel was next, then Wrench, then a dozen other bikers, all embracing him, congratulating him. But it wasn't just the bikers. People from the crowd approached, shaking his hand, thanking him, sharing their own stories. A woman told him she'd been in foster care too. A man said he'd been homeless and knew exactly what Marcus had been through. A teenager, maybe 15, looked at Marcus with tears in his eyes. Thank you for saying that. I needed to hear it. Marcus felt something break open inside him. Not pain, but release. He'd been carrying his story alone for so long. Sharing it, letting others see his truth, was the most freeing thing he'd ever done. The rest of the day was a blur of activity. The charity ride raised over $50,000. Local news covered the event, interviewing bikers and attendees. Marcus found himself in front of a camera, telling his story again, this time to an even wider audience. That night, back at the garage, the bikers gathered for a celebration. Pizza, beer for those who drank, and soda for Marcus. Music played. Laughter filled the air. Ranger wandered between people, soaking up attention. Griffin stood and raised his drink. To Marcus, a kid with more courage than most men twice his age. To second chances. To family. Everyone raised their glasses. To Marcus. To family. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes again, but this time he didn't hide them. These were happy tears. Grateful tears. He looked around at the faces of the men who'd saved him, and he realized something profound. Family wasn't just blood. It was the people who showed up when you needed them most. Diesel sat down beside him. How are you feeling? Marcus smiled. Honestly, I feel like I finally found where I belong. Diesel nodded. You did. And we're not letting you go. Marcus laughed. Good. Because I'm not going anywhere. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the party unfold around them. Then Diesel spoke again. You know, you inspire me today. Marcus looked at him, surprised. How? Diesel scratched Ranger's head. I forget sometimes how much a single act of kindness can change everything. You saved my dog, and in return, you saved yourself. That's powerful. Marcus thought about that. Maybe we can save each other. Maybe that's how it works. Diesel smiled. Maybe you're right, kid. Over the following months, Marcus continued working at the garage. He got better, faster, and more skilled. Wrench started trusting him with more complex repairs. Griffin began teaching him the business side of things, how to order parts, manage inventory, and deal with customers. Marcus wasn't just an employee anymore. He was being groomed to take on more responsibility. He also reconnected with his sister. With Griffin's help, Marcus tracked her down. She was living 2 states away, also aged out of foster care, working as a waitress. They talked on the phone for hours, crying, laughing, and promising to visit each other soon. Marcus told her about the Hell's Angels, about Ranger, about his new life. She told him she was proud of him. That was all Marcus needed to hear. 6 months after saving Ranger, Marcus stood in the garage, looking around at the space that had become his home. He'd gained weight, his face no longer gaunt. His hands were calloused from honest work. His eyes were bright with purpose. Diesel walked up beside him. What are you thinking about? Marcus smiled. Just how different my life is now. Everything changed because I didn't look away when Ranger needed help. Diesel nodded. That's the thing about doing the right thing. You never know how it'll come back to you. Griffin called out from across the garage. Marcus, come here for a second. Marcus walked over. Griffin was standing with several other bikers, all wearing serious expressions. Marcus's heart rate picked up. What's going on? Griffin handed him a folded piece of leather. It was a vest. Black, worn, with the Hells Angels logo. But it wasn't a full patch. It was a support vest, one that marked him as a respected member of the community. Family, but not a full member. Not yet. That required years and commitment. Griffin spoke. We don't do this lightly. But you've earned the respect of every man in this club. You work hard. You're loyal. You've got heart. This vest says you're one of us. Marcus took the vest with shaking hands. He slipped it on, and immediately, the bikers surrounded him, clapping him on the back, shaking his hand, welcoming him officially. Diesel grinned. Looks good on you, brother. Marcus couldn't stop smiling. Thank you, all of you, for seeing me when no one else did. Griffin's expression was serious but warm. You saved one of our own, Marcus. That dog means everything to Diesel. And in saving him, you showed us who you are. We don't forget that. Marcus looked down at Ranger, who was sitting calmly, looking up at him with those wise eyes. He knelt and wrapped his arms around the dog. Thank you, buddy, for running into that road, for giving me a reason to be brave. Ranger licked his face, and Marcus laughed, a sound full of joy and relief. That night, Marcus called his sister. When she answered, he could hear the smile in her voice. Hey, big brother. Marcus grinned. Hey, I got some news. What's up? I'm officially part of the Hells Angels family now. They gave me a vest. There was a pause. Then his sister laughed, delighted. Marcus, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. Marcus felt his chest warm. Thanks. And hey, I've been saving money. I want to fly you out here. I want you to meet everyone. His sister's voice wavered. Really? Really? You're my family. They're my family. I want you all to meet. She was silent for a moment, and Marcus heard her sniffle. I'd love that. Marcus smiled. Good. I'll send you the ticket info this week. His sister laughed through her tears. I can't believe how far you've come. From sleeping under a bridge to being part of a biker family. Marcus looked around his small room, at the vest hanging on the back of the door, at the photo of his sister on the dresser. I can't believe it either. But I'm grateful. Every single day, they talked for another hour, making plans, sharing stories, rebuilding the bond that foster care had tried to break. When Marcus finally hung up, he felt complete. He had work. He had a home. He had brothers. And soon, he'd have his sister back in his life. Everything he'd lost was slowly being rebuilt, piece by piece. A year later, Marcus stood in the garage, now a full-time mechanic. He'd earned his GED with Griffin's encouragement. He was saving money, planning for the future, even thinking about technical school. Diesel walked in with Ranger, who immediately ran to Marcus. Hey, boy, Marcus said, scratching behind the dog's ears. Diesel smiled. He still loves you best, you know. Marcus laughed. He's your dog. Diesel shrugged. Maybe, but he knows who saved his life. They worked side by side for a while, the comfortable silence of two people who understood each other. Finally, Diesel spoke. Have you ever thought about where you'd be if you hadn't grabbed Ranger that day? Marcus paused, wrench in hand. All the time. Diesel nodded. Me too. I think about what I would have lost. Marcus looked at his friend, this man who'd given him a second chance. I was lost before that day. Completely lost. I didn't just save Ranger. He saved me. Diesel's eyes were serious. We saved each other. That's what family does. Marcus smiled. Yeah, that's exactly what family does. They continued working, the sound of tools and engines filling the garage. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky orange and gold. Marcus glanced out the window and felt peace settle over him. He'd been invisible once. Forgotten. Discarded. But not anymore. Now he was seen. He was valued. He was home. And it all started because he'd chosen to run toward danger instead of away from it. Because he'd chosen to save a life, even when his own felt worthless. That single moment of courage had changed everything. Griffin appeared in the doorway. Marcus got a new bike coming in tomorrow. Custom job. Big money. You up for it? Marcus grinned. Absolutely. Griffin nodded. Good man. He disappeared back into his office. Diesel nudged Marcus. You've come a long way, kid. Marcus looked around the garage, at the men working, at Ranger sleeping in the corner, at the life he'd built from nothing. Yeah, I have. And he wouldn't change a single moment of it. Because sometimes, the worst chapters of your life lead to the best ones. Sometimes, losing everything teaches you what really matters. And sometimes, saving a dog saves your own soul. Marcus walked over to Ranger, who lifted his head sleepily. Marcus knelt beside him. You changed my life, buddy. You gave me a family. Ranger's tail thumped against the floor. Diesel called out. Hey, Marcus, want to grab dinner after we close up? Marcus stood. Yeah, let me just finish this brake job. Diesel laughed. Take your time. We're not going anywhere. And that, Marcus thought, was the most beautiful thing anyone had ever said to him. We're not going anywhere. Because he'd spent so long being left behind. But not anymore. Now he had people who stayed. People who showed up. People who saw him as more than his past. As the evening wore on, the garage filled with the familiar sounds of work and camaraderie. Marcus lost himself in the rhythm of it, in the satisfaction of fixing something broken and making it run again. Kind of like what the Hells Angels had done for him. They'd taken someone broken and helped him run again. When they finally closed up for the night, Marcus, Diesel, and a few other bikers headed to their favorite diner. The same one where Marcus had eaten his first real meal in months, a year ago. The waitress recognized him immediately. Well, look at you, she said, beaming. You look wonderful. Marcus smiled. Thanks to these guys. The waitress patted Diesel's shoulder. You boys did good. Real good. They ordered food, joked, and told stories. Marcus felt the warmth of belonging wash over him again. He'd never take it for granted. As they ate, Griffin brought up the next charity ride. It's coming up in 2 months. We want you to speak again, Marcus. Your story resonates. Marcus nodded without hesitation. I'd be honored. A younger biker, someone new to the club, spoke up. Man, I heard about what you did. Saving Diesel's dog and turning your whole life around. That's inspiring. Marcus felt his face heat. I just did what anyone would do. The young biker shook his head. No, most people wouldn't. That's what makes it special. Marcus thought about that. Maybe he was right. Maybe courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about acting despite the fear. About choosing compassion when the world had shown you none. After dinner, they rode back to the garage. The night air was cool, the stars bright overhead. Marcus felt grateful for every moment, every breath, every second chance he'd been given. When they arrived, Marcus headed up to his room. He sat on his bed and pulled out his phone. His sister had sent him a picture. She was smiling, standing in front of her apartment, holding a sign that said, 2 weeks until I see my brother. Marcus smiled, his heart full. He typed back, can't wait. Love you. She replied instantly with a heart emoji. Marcus set his phone down and looked around his small room. It wasn't much, but it was his. He'd earned it. He'd built this life from nothing, with the help of people who believed in him. He thought about where he'd been a year ago. Cold, hungry, invisible, broken. And now? Now he was warm, fed, seen, and healing. He walked to the window and looked out over the city. Somewhere out there, other kids were sleeping on streets, under bridges, in cars. Invisible. Forgotten. Marcus made a silent promise. He'd keep telling his story. He'd keep working with the club to help foster kids. He'd keep being the proof that second chances were real. That people could change. That kindness mattered. A knock on his door pulled him from his thoughts. Come in. Diesel stepped inside, Ranger at his heels. Just wanted to check on you before I head out. Marcus smiled. I'm good. Really good. Diesel studied him for a moment. You know, when I lost Ranger that day, I thought I'd lost everything. But finding him again, meeting you, watching you grow, it reminded me why I'm part of this club. Why family matters. Marcus felt his throat tighten. You gave me a family when I didn't have one. I'll never forget that. Diesel nodded, emotion flickering across his face. And you gave me back my best friend. I'd say we're even. But Marcus shook his head. No, I owe you everything. Diesel smiled. Then pay it forward. Help the next kid who needs it. That's all I ask. Marcus extended his hand. Deal. They shook, and in that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them. They were brothers now. Not by blood, but by choice. And that was even stronger. Diesel and Ranger left, and Marcus was alone again. He lay down on his bed, staring at the ceiling, reflecting on the impossible journey that had brought him here. From nothing to something. From invisible to seen. From broken to whole. Sleep came easily, and Marcus dreamed of open roads, roaring engines, and a future full of possibility. When he woke the next morning, sunlight streamed through his window. He stretched, feeling strong and rested. Another day, another chance to build something meaningful. He headed downstairs, where Wrench was already working. Morning, Marcus. Got a transmission rebuild today. You in? Marcus grinned. Absolutely. They worked together, teacher and student, mentor and mentee. Marcus asked questions, absorbed knowledge, and grew more confident with every task. By midday, he was covered in grease, sweating, but happy. This was honest work. Work that mattered. Griffin stopped by to check their progress. Looking good, boys. Marcus, can I talk to you for a second? They stepped outside into the sunshine. Griffin leaned against the wall, arms crossed. I've been thinking. You've been with us for over a year now. You've proven yourself 100 times over. Marcus waited, curious. Griffin continued. How would you feel about becoming a full-time employee? Benefits, a steady paycheck, the works. And we'd help you get into technical school if you want. Get certified as a real mechanic. Marcus felt his heart race. Seriously? Griffin nodded. You've earned it. Your family. And we take care of family. Marcus felt tears sting his eyes again. He'd cried more in the past year than in his entire life. But they were good tears. Grateful tears. I don't know what to say. Griffin smiled. Say yes. Marcus laughed. Yes. Absolutely yes. Griffin extended his hand, and they shook. Welcome to the team, officially. Marcus felt like he was floating. A real job. A future. Opportunities he'd never dreamed possible. When Griffin walked away, Marcus stood in the sunshine, letting the moment wash over him. He'd made it. He'd actually made it. That evening, Marcus video called his sister to tell her the news. She screamed with excitement, jumping up and down in her apartment. Marcus, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you. Marcus beamed. Thanks. And hey, I'm enrolling in technical school next semester. Gonna become a certified mechanic. His sister wiped away happy tears. Look at you, big brother. Building a whole life. Marcus felt his voice catch. We both are. We're not those scared kids anymore. We're survivors. His sister nodded. Yeah, we are. They talked about her visit, now only a week away. She'd meet the club, see the garage, experience the world Marcus had built. He couldn't wait to show her, to prove that they'd both made it out of the darkness. When they hung up, Marcus felt complete. Everything was falling into place. The next week flew by in a blur of work and preparation. Marcus cleaned his room, planned activities for his sister's visit, and made sure everything was perfect. The day she arrived, he stood at the airport, heart pounding with excitement. When she walked through the gate, they ran to each other, embracing tightly. Tears flowed freely. We made it, she whispered. We really made it. Marcus held her tighter. Yeah, we did. He introduced her to Diesel, Griffin, Wrench, and the rest of the club. They welcomed her warmly, treating her like family immediately. She met Ranger, who wagged his tail and licked her hand. This is the dog that started everything, Marcus explained. His sister knelt and hugged Ranger. Thank you for bringing my brother back to me. Over the next few days, Marcus showed his sister everything. The garage, his room, the diner, the places that had become home. She watched him work, saw how respected he was, how he'd grown. At night, they talked for hours, catching up on lost time, healing old wounds, building new memories. On her last night, the club threw a party in her honor. Music, food, laughter. Marcus watched his sister talking with the bikers, smiling, relaxed, and happy. This was family. All of it. Diesel approached Marcus. Your sister's great. Marcus smiled. Yeah, she is. Diesel nudged him. You did good, kid. Building this life. Bringing her into it. You should be proud. Marcus looked around at everyone he loved gathered in one place. I am. For the first time in my life, I really am. When his sister left, they promised to stay in close contact. No more years of silence. No more distance. They were family, and family stayed connected. Marcus threw himself back into work with renewed energy. He started technical school, balancing classes with his job at the garage. It was hard, exhausting, but he loved every minute. He was building skills, building a future, building a life. Months passed. Marcus excelled in school, his natural aptitude for mechanics shining through. His instructors praised him. His bosses at the garage relied on him. He was no longer the homeless kid who'd saved a dog. He was Marcus. Mechanic. Brother. Survivor. Success story. The second annual charity ride arrived. Marcus spoke again, his story now including updates. How he'd gone to school. How he'd reconnected with his sister. How the Hells Angels had given him everything. The crowd was even larger this year, and his speech received a standing ovation. Afterward, a teenager approached him, eyes red from crying. "I'm in foster care. I needed to hear your story." "Thank you." Marcus put a hand on the kid's shoulder. "You're going to make it. I promise. Hold on." The kid nodded, hope flickering in his eyes. Marcus realized in that moment that his purpose wasn't just to survive. It was to help others survive too. To be the voice for kids who felt voiceless. To prove that the system didn't have to define you. Over the next few years, Marcus became a certified mechanic. He continued working at the garage, eventually becoming Wrench's right-hand man. He spoke at schools, group homes, and anywhere that would have him. His story inspired thousands. He never forgot where he came from, never took a single day for granted, and he never stopped being grateful to a dog named Ranger who'd run into traffic and changed his life forever. On the 5th anniversary of saving Ranger, the club threw a celebration. Marcus stood in the garage, surrounded by his family, looking at how far he'd come. Diesel raised a drink. "To Marcus, the kid who taught us all what courage really looks like." Everyone raised their glasses. "To Marcus." Marcus looked at Ranger, now older, grayer, but still loyal. He knelt beside the dog. "You saved me, buddy. More than you'll ever know." Ranger licked his face, and Marcus laughed. Griffin approached. "You know, Marcus, you've inspired a lot of people. But you've also changed this club. Reminded us what we're really about. Family. Loyalty. Second chances." Marcus stood. "You gave me those things when no one else would." Griffin smiled. "And you proved we were right to believe in you." That night, as Marcus lay in bed, he reflected on the impossible journey. From homeless and invisible to successful and respected. From broken to whole. From alone to surrounded by family. It all started with one moment of courage. One decision to run toward danger instead of away. One choice to save a life. And in saving that life, he'd saved his own. He closed his eyes, grateful, peaceful home. And he knew, without a doubt, that he'd never be invisible again. Hey, before you go, let me ask you something. Have you ever helped someone in need, even when it was hard? Drop your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. And if this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more incredible true stories coming your way. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the smallest act of kindness creates the biggest change. See you in the next one.